I'm going to go over the reason we are here. We are here because this is the part of the National Environmental Policy Act scoping meeting, so NEPA. And so NEPA is a federal law that requires consultation with the public. It requires us to present to you any federal project that's going to have a significant impact on the environment and or proposed potential impact to the environment, and provide it an opportunity for the public, for stakeholders, for agencies, for tribes, and local governments to provide input on any project that we're going to be doing. So for the Lake Okeechobee Watershed Project, we are looking to, in the scoping meeting, get your input on the purpose, objectives, and all this is going to be taken into consideration as the project moves forward. So the NEPA process begins with determining how much of an impact they're going to have. For projects that are going to have a cumulative, no significant impact, you would go to a categorical exclusion. However, when there is more significant effects, you go into an environmental assessment, or if you're we're going to have significant impacts, either positive or negative, you go through an environmental impact statement. So we will be preparing an environmental impact statement for the Lake Okeechobee Watershed Project. And the very first part of this project starts with the scoping process. And through the scoping process, we're going to be getting input from the public, and it will factor into the formulation of the project and the array of alternatives. And then it will result in the drafting of an environmental impact statement. And this environmental impact statement is going to analyze all of the environmental effects of the project, and as well as the no action alternative, or if we do not do this project. Now the Corps has a 6-step planning process, and this coincides with the NEPA process as well. Right now, in step 1, for the very start of the study, we are looking at the problems, opportunities, the goals and objectives of the study, and that fits in with the NEPA part of it, which is the purpose and need. And then the second step is looking at your existing conditions and forecasting future conditions with the project. And that looks, on the NEPA side, is your affected environment as well as your no action. If you don't do the project, what are the effects? And then step 3 is developing alternatives. Since this is an ecosystem restoration project, we're looking at developing alternatives that provide the best ecosystem restoration benefits for the least cost. So we're looking at developing an array of alternatives, looking to give us the most lift or the most environmental benefits in this project area. And that is equivalent to the range of alternatives for the NEPA process. And then we need to evaluate those plans. We're going to be analyzing everything from water quality, threatened endangered species, hydrology, cultural resources, air quality, noise, aesthetics, all of those factors, environmental factors. We'll be analyzing those plans, and we'll be comparing those plans, and then selecting a final array of alternatives and a preferred plan that gives us the most environmental benefits. And so through that whole NEPA assessment, through the 6-step planning process, we follow along with the NEPA assessment, which will get us to an environmental impact statement at the end. And the Corps, through the 6-step planning process, develops the project implementation report. And so the final product is going to be an integrated project implementation report and environmental impact statement. The Corps planning process has changed recently. We've listened to we've been hearing that the process for Corps planning takes too long and it costs too much money. So we have switched to a 3x3x3 planning process, which means no more than 3 years to plan a project, no more than $3 million, and it has to go through 3 levels of Corps review, which makes it more an efficient process. And it's a decision-based process, so as decisions are made, they're approved and the project is moving forward. So hopefully this planning process can be done faster. And it identifies the risk and uncertainty as each step as we go along. To identify, we don't have all the data that we need. We're going to, focus our resources on the data that's required to reduce certain risks, and then move on. And so through this process, the report is developed as we go through the planning process. So what's important for you in this process is that we are at the very beginning. We are at the NEPA scoping process, the red arrow. And what this means is that we have the scoping period, and we have extended the comment period to August 12th. It's on the future slide. Just wanted to let you know that we have extended that. And so by the 18th of October, we have our first milestone of developing the alternatives. So it's a very fast process, so we want your input as soon as possible so that can be incorporated into alternatives. What we're proposing will be our group of projects or a group of management measures for this project. So once we have our alternatives, then we're going to select our preferred plan, or our TSP, our tentatively selected plan, and that is where we will draft the environmental impact statement. And once we have the draft environmental impact statement, that will go out for public review, so you'll have a chance to review that document. It'll be integrated with our project implementation report, and that will go out for a 45-day public and agency comment period. We will then incorporate those changes, and then there will be a final environmental impact statement that will get sent out again for a 30-day review period. And then once that is approved, it goes through our agency reviews, and eventually you end up with a finalized environmental impact statement, project implementation report, and get sent up through the course chain to get a record of decision. And then a signed record of decision will be at the end of the process. This is a 18 to 36 month process, so it's a quick one. And so the public participation starts today with the scoping meeting. We have comment cards. We have, you're able to make public comment here. We do have scoping comment cards that you're more than welcome to draw, where you think you want project features, what you want included, where you think water should flow. Feel free to draw on these, leave them here with us, or mail them in. You can send emails in if you make a public comment tonight. There's other meetings, our project delivery team meetings will be open to the public in terms of providing feedback and providing comments. We have the South Florida Ecosystem Restoration Task Force meetings. There's working group meetings, science coordination group meetings. We'll have additional NEPA meetings when we have the draft environmental impact statement. You have the Water Resources Advisory Commission meetings. You have governing board meetings, other CERT meetings. So there's a whole lot of opportunities for the public to be engaged and to provide your input, which we highly value. We look at every single comment we receive. They're included in comment matrices. You'll get a response for all the comments that we do receive. So, as I said, we have extended our scoping comment period through till August 12th. So feel free to send emails. The email is up there. You can mail comments to me, and I highly recommend if you have specific things that you want, and it's easier to do on a map, to please, write all over this, write on the back, do whatever you want with it and send it to us, and we'll enter it into the public record. All of this information, this presentation, as well as the posters, are posted on the webpage, which is listed down there. And written comments, email comments, and comments that you say that when you are here at these meetings all have the same weight, and we will reply to all of those. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Dave.